Dave.
Yeah.
We got to talk about Conor.
We sure do. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Okay, so everybody, if you are unaware, and I don't know how you would be unaware.
Everyone's aware of this.
Conor McGregor is in New York police custody Thursday night following a day in which he threw a metal dolly through a van window, injuring several fighters that resulted in multiple fights being canceled.
Can you imagine?
Mr. McGregor's in the custody of the New York Police Department. This is from the NYPD. No formal charges have been filed, and our investigation is ongoing.
I'm trying. If I'm like a police officer and I need to investigate, and there's only 400 videos out there, can we identify who this person is who threw this thing that we can see? We have videos from the people inside the van. We have videos of him chucking the thing. I think that we have a lot of evidence on this one.
It seems like it's a pretty open and shut case. Removed from the show, Artem Lobov.
Yes.
Who we can talk about in a moment. This is how it all started with Nurmagomedov and Artem Lobov. Basically, there was a confrontation
in the hotel on Tuesday.
Yep. And I guess Nurmagomedov, would he slap him?
I didn't see. Was there any physical? I don't think there was any physicality. They were just yelling at each other.
Patted him on the head.
Yeah.
All right, so Conor flies to America and attacks a bus. And as noted, he threw the dolly through the van window. There was glass everywhere. And Artem Lobov has been removed because of everything that happened. And being removed due to injuries are Michael Chiesa, who wanted to fight, but I guess the commission wouldn't allow him to.
So who was he fighting?
Anthony Pettis, so that's off.
Oh, that's right. And that was one of the fights I really wanted to see.
And the Ray Borg, Brandon Moreno fight is off.
That's another fight I wanted to see. That was a good fight.
Ray Borg apparently had glass
in his hand?
In his eye or something.
Oh, God. Awful.
So,
awful.
What do we do with this guy if you're UFC?
That is a really tough question because he's Conor McGregor. I think that he can't fight for a long, long time. You know, time heals all wounds and all that. So I think that like a year from now, people will go, okay, let's let him fight. But I don't think he can fight in 2018. And I'm wondering what commissions do because he's not licensed in New York, so he can't be suspended by the New York Commission. But if he tries to get licensed by any commission, they probably will, but they shouldn't. They like no commission should license him for at least a while. But UFC shouldn't even put that before commission anyway. I don't think that they should be able to. They should. I can't imagine them letting him fight for a while. I can't imagine anyone doing. You know, it would be such a bad look to have him fight. I know there's so much money involved in this situation, and you know if Khabib Nurmagomedov wins or Max Holloway wins, either one of those fights against Conor is probably now bigger than it would ever be before. Now, what do you think as far as the pay-per-views? Because there's so much publicity today, but you know it's also 3 fights off.
Yeah, there's 3 fights off the show. Conor's not on the show.
Conor was never on the show to begin with.
I mean, Dana White has pretty much flat out said that Brock Lesnar's coming to UFC.
But that's an interesting story.
It is Dana saying this, but I mean, are people going to buy? I don't think anyone's going to buy UFC thinking Brock's going to be there.
No,
They've lost 3
no.
fights. Conor's not going to be there.
Yeah, but the 3 fights, even though they lost, and even though those 2 of the fights that they lost are big fights, it was still being sold pretty much on the top 2 fights. You know, the Rose and Amajunas and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And that fight almost fell through too.
It did. Rose was on the bus and she was in a state. I don't know what else to say. I mean, she wasn't injured, but she was.
She almost had glass like on her hands though.
Yep. So she decided she's going to cut weight and fight. So that fight's not off. Borg got pieces of glass in his eye that began to give him problems after the incident. Chiesa had multiple small cuts on the bridge of his nose and hairline and went to the hospital, which threw off his weight-cutting routine.
Yeah.
I was thinking about with McGregor is, like everyone says, well, obviously they're not going to fire Conor because he'll, you know, they don't want him fighting anywhere else. But like with Conor McGregor, I mean, the guy's not fighting for anything less than millions and millions of dollars at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, Bellator can't come up with $10 million for the guy to fight.
Viacom's got all the money in the world. They could if they wanted to. And the thing is you can't trust that they will do the right thing because because honestly, when you really think back on the whole Crow Cop thing, you really shouldn't have signed him. I thought that was a really bad look. I think it was a bad look that
well, yeah, but that was like he he didn't even get popped. He admitted to GH.
But still, he admitted to he was suspended for 2 years and he continued to fight.
Well, sure, but I mean, that's very different than Conor McGregor going on a wild rampage and ruining 3 fights and probably ending up in a lawsuit, several lawsuits.
There's going to be so many lawsuits out of this. All those fighters will probably end up suing him. No. I mean, I'm not trying to compare the two. They're completely different situations. Other than the fact that I could see Bellator using him if he was fired. Maybe not using him right away, but certainly using him in a year. I can't see UFC firing him. I mean, they may just go. Look, this guy's a nutcase, and we're just going to get rid of him. It's but they never fired John Jones, and John Jones had incident after incident. This is only Conor's what number incident? 3rd. There was the thing in the cage. There was the thing with Nick Diaz years ago, or Nate Diaz, when they were throwing the bottles. And, other than, his normal being an hour late for press conferences and things like that.
Yeah, but even like John Jones with the incident where, he hit the woman and then fled and all of that.
That was a bad scene.
It was a bad scene, but like it was an accident that he responded poorly to. Like he was a complete idiot, but this was like a premeditated attack.
Yeah, that's worse than getting in a car crash that you're not planning. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see, but
I don't know about getting fired, but I do think like not fighting for a year might be how it all ends up. The thing is like the TV people, they.
Oh, that's right. The bottle throwing incident. This is his second assault.
No, I brought up the bottles.
Yeah. Filthy's over there making a bottle throwing motion over here.
Yeah, so I brought that up first. With Nate Diaz when they were throwing bottles back and forth. Yeah, no, this is the third. This is the third to me for Conor that I can think of. The rest of the stuff is like craziness that we in bar fights and things like that. That's also not good. But the thing is when guys do things like this over and over again, the odds are that it's probably something's going to happen again unless he's like just straightens out, and who knows if that's going to happen. But
there ain't a lot of evidence.
No, this is bad stuff, and he's such a big part of like the the thing is that the company needs to make so much money. They're looking like they're not going to get the TV deal they're expecting, so which means that they need to make more money from fights than before. So there's that leverage. So it's like, man, it's all of a sudden that $4 billion purchase is it's not looking so great today.
So what is the latest on Fox?
I mean, everything's up in the air. When Fox could get WWE, they could get UFC, they could get them both, but probably not at like that $200 million price that both want. I don't think they're going to pay $450 million for those two products. Which they may get a little of both. Maybe they'll spend some money on both products, but they'll open up to where those, whether it's WWE or UFC, also can sign with somebody else. Because like baseball, basketball, they're on multiple networks. So it's going to be, all this is going to be going down in the next couple of months. The landscape is going to change, and we don't know exactly how it'll be. But I mean, we know who the players are, but we don't know how it's going to end up.
So Dana's comment that Brock is almost certainly... Actually, I don't even think he said almost.
No, he said he's coming.
He said he's coming right before WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, all I can tell you is that I've been told from day one that he's coming, but you just never know. And I mean, even with Dana saying it, that doesn't mean 100%. I don't think that Dana is saying that to work with WWE and shock people when Brock wins. I don't think that's going to happen. But
I think people's conspiracy theory, not even a conspiracy theory, but more that got out so that people would boo Brock because they would know that he was leaving.
I don't think that that's a conspiracy theory. I think that, I'm not saying that Dana said that for that purpose, but they may, look, WWE and UFC talk, and they may have, that may have been part of the deal. It's like, look, get it out before the match because we want Roman Reigns cheered. And if Dana White goes out and says, hey, we got him, that's the best shot they got. I'm not saying it's going to work, but it's the best shot.
We got the announcement also from Dana that CM Punk's opponent is in fact going to be Mike Jackson.
Isn't he dead?
Not that Mike Jackson.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
The other Mike Jackson.
Oh. Yeah. Actually, he's a sports writer.
He is a sports writer.
Or yeah, he's a reporter. He's a UFC reporter. Yeah, I mean that's who we figured he was going to fight all along, and he might win.
I mean,
he might win.
He should win.
I think
if he's been training consistently for the last 2.5, 3 years.
I don't know
how. And the other guy's largely been a reporter for the last 2.5, 3 years, outside of a couple of fights.
One fight, I think. It's only 1 or 2 fights. I think he's only fought once, which was the Mickey Gall fight.
Yeah. So let's see if he's fought since then.
No, I know he hasn't fought since then. I would know. I would know about that one, I would think.
Oh, there you go. Man, you type in Mike Jackson, he's number 1 on Google, not the other Mike Jackson. How about that?
Well, that tells you about CM Punk these days.
Well, what do we got as far as upcoming fights?
In what sense? Oh, like the Rafael dos Anjos and Colby Covington fight in Brazil for the interim welterweight championship?
That'd be 2 of them, yeah.
That's one of them. Oh, well, I guess with Punk and Mike Jackson, too. Yeah. So I guess Tyron Woodley's not going to fight for several months, so they use that as the excuse to put Dos Anjos and Covington as a championship fight. And so after all of the bad trash talk that Covington did, by the way, he's going to need some security in Brazil because he said a lot of bad stuff about Brazil. And yeah, I don't know. But it got him his fight after all that. So he's going to get the fight. I think Dos Anjos will beat him. I think Colby Covington's a good wrestler, though.
Any other UFC notes before we talk about some WaleMania?
I think Cerrone and Leon Edwards is pretty close to happening in Singapore. So it's a good fight for Leon Edwards, I guess. Is it Cerrone and Leon Edwards? Is that the fight?
Filthy, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out.
I might be mixing up 2 fights these days because I'm going on no sleep.
That's right. It's not going to get better because you got to get up early in the morning for the Wrestling Observer Live mailbag.
Yeah, I'll be okay for that, as long as they don't ask hard questions.
Cerrone and Leon Edwards.
Leon Edwards in June.
Okay, they're in the Singapore show, so I got it right. Okay, good.
There you go.
All right.
Well, we are here in New Orleans for the WrestleMania weekend, and
it's really late.
It is very late, and you are here through tomorrow.
Yes.
What's the plan for tomorrow? After we had the live mailbag in the morning, which is sold out.
We're doing a show in the morning. First thing in the morning is Q&A, and then we're going to go to Progress, the UK promotion, then Rev Pro, and then WWN Super Show. And there's an incredible amount of great matches listed on these shows. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but the lineups are ridiculous. They're sick. The lineups all the way through this weekend, I mean, it's just the talent level that's here is just incredible. I mean, there's always been the shows in conjunction with WrestleMania, and there's always been like there's 2 or 3 really big matches that people talk about. Last year there were even more than that. There were several big matches, but this year it's just off the charts ridiculous. And Will Ospreay is fine.
He's fine?
He's fine. He's going to wrestle. He wrestled today.
Now, is he fine or is he fine to work these shows?
I was told that Will Ospreay is fine. That he's wrestling 3 shows tomorrow. He's going to be at all 3 shows that we're going to. One of them is going to be singles match with Matt Riddle, and I forget what the other ones are, but he's... The thing, so here's the deal. From the thing with the Marty Scurll match the other day, if we had not seen that replay with that horrible
we would never have
angle,
known.
We would have never. Well, we would have known that he was hurt a little bit, but it would not even be an issue. But yeah, because we saw that replay, it's like, how the hell is he wrestling? 6 times. I think it's 6 times this weekend.
My God.
6 match because he's working CZW on Saturday, and he's working the other Progress show, so that's 5. And he worked 1 show today, so 6 shows this weekend. Yeah, but yeah, he wrestled today and he was fine.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but how do you do 3 shows at his level in a day?
Well, we're gonna find out tomorrow if he can maintain that level over 3 matches in one day.
I mean, I can see Zach because I think Zack Saber's doing 4 matches in the next 2 days or some number like that. But you know, Zack Saber's style and Will Ospreay's style are completely different.
Yeah. They are absolutely completely different.
Yeah, it's different as different can be. Even though Will Ospreay can do that, he can do that style. But I remember once someone brought up, you know, why don't you do chain wrestling or something to him? And he says, I can do all that, but I prefer not to.
Well, maybe that'll change.
He's
After landing on his head on the apron and nearly killing himself.
oh man, yeah. But if he doesn't get hurt, in 5 years, he's gonna be the best guy in the whole business.
Well, a lot of people believe that.
Yeah, especially like he's going to gain weight. He's going to go heavyweight. So when he goes heavyweight, he wants to do as many stuff like that.
In theory.
But he's got like he's going to increase his skill level greatly because he's only look who he's working with every single night.
Yep.
I mean, he's going to work with Kushida and Hiromu Takahashi. When he goes to heavyweight, he's going to be working with, you know, Tanahashi and, you know, Suzuki and Naito and Evil and Sonata and all these guys. I mean, everyone that goes there gets better.
Yeah.
So.
Did you have fun at WaleMania?
I had a lot of fun.
A guest of honor, Dave, at WaleMania.
I had a lot of fun. It was cool. Yeah.
There was 8 million people there. Every year we do the list, and I don't think it was even possible to like go over everybody that was there.
Tons of people were there.
I mean, everybody. Like all sorts of...
Mojo Rawley, Big E.
Mojo Rawley, Big E, Alicia Fox, Austin Aries.
Alberto Del Patron.
I didn't see him.
He was coming right as we were leaving.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. Carlito and Roberto were coming together.
Borash, Spud, Mickey James,
DJ Z, Aaliyah, Liv Morgan.
Yep.
You guys can chime in if any people we're forgetting.
Who else? Filthy Tom Lawler was there.
No, I missed him.
Yep. Wale showed up.
Wale's going to wrestle next year.
That's the rumor.
Wale's going to wrestle next year.
Wale is going to wrestle at WaleMania 5.
He's going to wrestle somebody in this room.
Tom. I didn't know.
No, he said it wouldn't be Tom.
Actually, he did say, I'm not getting in the ring with Tom.
He said it wouldn't be Tom.
Well, I'm not either, so, I mean, it's got to be you, Dave.
It's not going to be
What
me.
a match that'll be.
It's not going to be me.
Yep, Wale wants to get in the ring next year for WaleMania. It's going to be awesome.
It'll be something.
He's a very talented guy.
Yeah, and he played college football, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's a good athlete.
Yep. He was out there doing his concert there at the end, and super charismatic guy.
Oh, yeah.
Place going nuts. What are you looking at me like that for, Tom? I'm disgusted. Why weren't you on the stage?
I'm not much of a partier.
Oh, get out of here. He's not much of a partier. Couldn't drag you out of there. But yeah, it was a really fun time, and I don't know.
There were all kinds of people there, though. Not just like wrestlers, but just...
There was a room in the back that was just packed with people. Yeah. It was like, this place, you can't fit another person in here. But like, they kept fitting people in there.
Yeah.
All night long. It was nuts.
Yeah. What's her name? Oh, Katarina Lee?
Who?
Winter.
Oh, yeah, Winter.
Katrina?
Rich Swann.
Yeah, Katrina was there. Yep, Rich Swann was there.
Katrina.
Yeah, from Lucha Underground. How did you miss her, Dave?
Well,
I didn't see Marty the Moth.
Katrina was there? I missed Katrina.
Oh, yeah.
You sure did.
Oh, and Taya?
Taya was there, yep.
Yeah.
Who else? Come on, throw out some names here. I mean, who
Dorian Roldan, who
Dorian
I missed.
Roldan was there.
I did not...
Hornswoggle. Oh, man. Hornswoggle crashed the Q&A.
How could we miss him?
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah. Mark, did we mention Mark Henry's name yet?
Mark Henry was there. That's right. He was the guest of honor, but he left early.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was hungry. He hadn't eaten since 10:30 in the morning.
Oh,
can you
my
imagine?
God. No, I can't.
Seriously. That's what he told me.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Big E was just absolutely gigantic.
I just heard he wasn't gigantic.
But gigantic. Who told you that? Get out of here,
somebody
Tom.
told. No, I was next to him. I was next to him, and he was gigantic. But they tell me that Daisuke Sekimoto is much more gigantic than him.
Yeah. I think twice as wide.
Oh, that's impossible.
That's impossible.
That's impossible.
That's impossible. Only Andre the Giant's twice as wide. We got to talk about Andre the Giant.
Well, let's talk about it. Talk about this documentary.
Oh, everyone will love it. I'll just say that. We'll talk about it after. It's Tuesday night on HBO, and at some point, shortly after the documentary, when we can get our schedule straight, we'll have Pat LaPrade, who's a key, and he's writing this book on Andre that's going to be great.
Pat LaPrade Prod was there tonight.
He was there
Prod
tonight.
was there.
I didn't see him.
I did. I spoke to him at length about doing the show. And then I said, when I see Brian, we're going to arrange a time. And we have not arranged a time yet.
No. This week and next week, there's no time arranging. This is insane.
This is just crazy. I know.
After next week is done, we'll be able to arrange a lot of different.
Okay, so the Andre documentary, it's just really well produced. And I think like what I was saying, I rarely say this about wrestling or MMA. If you have like family members who don't like wrestling or, could care less, I would recommend that you go like, watch this with me. Because, often when you do that, you watch it and you go, I'm so embarrassed. Look at what they did on the wrestling show. But you will not be embarrassed. It's such a well done piece. And Andre the Giant comes off as this, charming, funny guy, and it's got the sad ending. And Vince is probably as real as Vince is going to ever be. Hogan was there. Hogan was there with notes, his notepad of his move by move layout of the match. And I heard that everybody got so mad at Randy Savage for doing that with Ricky Steamboat.
That's
and
right.
Hulk Hogan had in handwriting on a yellow notepad every freaking move in the Hogan Andre match written down.
That's
before
incredible.
the match. So it's like they did not call it in the ring, except Hulk Hogan, in fact, says he didn't know the finish when he went in the match. And
What, he run out of paper?
no, it says insert finish here on the spot in the
get
paper.
outta here.
It's what it says. It
outta
says
here.
that. Insert finish here. So Hogan is saying, he's talking about it and he's going like, I'm doing the match and all this, and he's doing every move that's there. And then all of a sudden he just goes, slam me. So I go, okay, I slam him. He goes, leg drop me. So I leg drop him. Now I think he's kicking out. And it's like, the hell you do. Nobody kicked out of the leg drop in the 80s. And he didn't kick out. Oh my God, I won. I had no idea. Like Andre the Giant didn't wrestle again for, what was it, till February the next year, I think it was. But for months, we didn't even know if he would ever do another match. I don't know if you know. We didn't even know if he would necessarily do that match until a week before because his back was so thrashed. Orndorff was, in the backup position all along. And there was not a chance in the world that Andre the Giant was winning that match. But for whatever reason, you watch this thing and Hulk Hogan says that and Vince is just kind of smiling and going like, we just, he was playing mind games and all this. But Andre comes, there were a lot of, Hogan and Andre were good. Jackie McCauley, who was the late Frenchie Bernard's wife, and that lived with him in Ellerby, and it was really cool. The stories, like everywhere Andre went, obviously everyone stared at him because he was so big and everything. But in Ellerby, North Carolina, it's this little town of only a couple hundred people, and everybody knew him, and nobody stared. It was just like, oh, it's Andre. So it was like he loved to be there, but he also still loved to wrestle. And I mean, one of the things in there that was interesting is, Andre and Vince did have a falling out at the end. Because Vince at one point had to just go, it's over, it's done. Even though Andre continued to wrestle in Japan for whatever it was, another 2 years or so. But it's over and it's done. And Andre he just wanted to be on the road with the boys because that was his life. And but the whole thing, the Billy Crystal and Rob Reiner and Carrie Ellis and what's her name, the woman that played the Princess Bride. They were there and they were telling stories, and they just
Robin Wright.
Man, yeah,
My childhood memories.
Yeah, you like that movie?
No, I got it. Garrett.
What, people feeding you lines?
Yeah, Garrett's feeding me lines over there.
Okay, Arnold Schwarzenegger's in the movie.
I do know him. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because him and yeah.
What's he doing?
Arnold.
Oh yeah.
Arnold had heart surgery the other day.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he had a valve. The valve. Well, he had the valve put in like whatever it was 10, 15 years ago.
And then he had redone.
And he had because those things only last whatever it is, like 10, 15 years. So like I have one of my best friends actually had that done, and he's going to have to get it done again too. So
yeah,
Bruno's going to have to get it done if he lives long enough as well.
Yeah,
Bruno had the valve put in. A couple of years ago, when he got really sick. I'm trying to think who else is in the thing. Pat LaProde's in there. I'm in there. I made the cut.
You made the cut.
I'm in there. Yeah. I must have, I'm a pretty big critic of myself, but I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I wasn't bad. I'm not saying I was good, but I wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's very good.
If I was bad, I would be the first to tell you that I sucked.
Well, good to know you didn't suck in the Andre bio.
No, I'm actually going to tell my friends that aren't wrestling fans and my high school friends that you got to watch this thing. And they're not, like I said, I would recommend it if you're not a wrestling fan because it's just a well done doc. And if you're a wrestling fan, you'll get a kick out of a lot of it. But if you're not, I mean, it's still kind of like this story. And Andre's hands, like they have all these like great stuff of Andre's hands and Andre's feet and how Andre's hands especially. And also you see like clips of Andre through the years. Like when he started, he looks like just some really tall, like college basketball player. And then like 2 years later, he looks like this really tall Lars Sullivan, and then he just looks like Andre the Giant. And then he just gets bigger and bigger. And it's too bad. I wish they don't have any clips that I could see of Andre like in like 71, because I've seen so much Andre the Giant stuff of late. 71 in Japan when he was in that tournament with Billy Robinson and Carl Gotch and Don Leo Jonathan. This and Shozo Kobayashi. They had this. And I think Gordienko might have been in it too, but I'm not positive he was in that year. But they had this. It was like a similar to a Champion Carnival or a G1, and like Billy Robinson and Andre wrestled like 3 or 4 times, like 30-minute draws. And this was like Andre at probably like, he got to be a much better worker when he was older, but this was probably Andre at his physical peak. And I mean, it's like he's like a 6'10" guy with like a physique, you know what I mean? Who looks athletic and moves like an athlete, before he got so darn heavy. I mean, one of the things with Andre that's so fascinating is like when Andre passed away, there was a bodybuilding, weightlifting writer guy who was a subscriber to The Observer, who was a friend of mine, who actually was a pro wrestler in Stampede Wrestling years earlier. But and he was just like, can you imagine like if Andre had dedicated himself to like a sport, like powerlifting or Greco-Roman wrestling or judo or something? And it's like, he may not have had a long prime, but, who the hell knows? I mean, that guy was so, I mean, there's never been anyone, I mean, Billy Graham told me that Andre's pushing strength was really not that great, but his pulling strength was like inhuman. And Ken Patera said that like, if Andre trained to deadlift or squat, I mean, Andre's doing squats. Because he had the giant thighs and his big butt. It's like, he looks like he could have squatted like 1,500 pounds or something if he ever learned. Like, Patera said that he would if he would have trained for it, he would have broken the world record for squats and deadlift, but not necessarily bench press.
Yeah.
Not Olympic lifting, because that's more technical and who the hell knows. Although he was, he was inhumanly strong. And they had the doctor who did his surgery. Was it someone in there was saying that he had like hands like a gorilla or something? But they went through like the whole thing, and like it was just it was a really good piece. Jason Hare did a hell of a job. There's still a lot of historical stuff that like I wrote about in this week's Observer, and that wasn't right, but I mean, whatever. I mean, it wasn't bad. It's just, and there's stuff like with Vince talking about how he took over, and it's like, when he decided to go national, he knew he'd beat everyone because my TV production was so much better than anyone else's. And it's like, no, it wasn't. Dallas had the best TV production, but yeah, it's Vince. That's how he remembers things, I'm sure. And he probably never watched World Class Wrestling anyway, so how would he know? But they like it's funny because they're going in there and they're going like, like Vince is going like these other promotions, they would, tape in a television studio. And then they showed this Bill Watts, Terry Funk match in a television studio, which was, in a television studio in Oklahoma somewhere. So, yeah, I don't know what else, but yeah, so watch the documentary. If you have any questions on Andre, I probably will know, and if not, we'll have Pat on. Pat's writing a book on him. Pat's he's going to be the Andre the Giant expert. He's studied his career, and yeah, there you go. We haven't talked about Johnny Valiant yet.
I was just going to say, Johnny Valiant passed away.
Man, that's really sad.
In a really weird story.
So he was crossing the street, and it was like, was it dark and rainy or something?
Wasn't it like 5 a.m.?
No, it wasn't that late because I heard about it. Right as I was about to leave to go to the airport is when I heard about it. So it was, I don't know the time, but the news had gotten out about there was an accident. It was like a half mile from Bruno's house, and but they didn't have the name of the guy. But I guess like Bruno knew that it was Tom Sullivan, which is Johnny Valiant's real name, and I don't know if you know that him and Vince were classmates.
Really?
Yeah.
I seem to remember that story. Like military school or something?
Fishburne Military Academy in Virginia. Yeah. They went to the same college. I don't know if they were on the same baseball team. So Vince actually played college baseball or intramural baseball or something. But Vince was a pitcher and he was a catcher. And they must have been on the wrestling team, and Vince was the better wrestler of the two. So, by the way, Vince wrestled 165s in college. Just for curiosity, if you ever wanted to know that.
Got that, Tom?
Now 265.
165.
But now.
How about
Now,
that?
no, probably 230. I'd say I'd say about
Holy
230.
smokes.
230. I mean, you know what? He might be smaller now because you've seen him lately. But I'm sure he's still like 220. But he's lost a lot of size because he's 72 years old. That's the reality. That's just the reality.
So tell us a little bit about Valentine's career.
Yeah. So Valiant, but the
Valiant.
No, like look, I saw Arnold in that thing. You know, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, it's like he looked like a 70-year-old guy who still lifted a little bit of weights, but he didn't look like I don't know, any of those bodybuilders still look. Dave Draper still looks like that. You know, in his 70s, I think. Okay. Anyway, Johnny Valiant. So he started. I remember him starting as John L. Sullivan, and the Pittsburgh area because he was from Pittsburgh, and then he went to some other territories, Detroit territory, and things like that. And then Jimmy Valiant had been Jimmy Valiant for several years, and then
Still is.
and he still is, right? And then they brought Tom Sullivan in, or John L. Sullivan in, as Luscious Johnny Valiant with Handsome Jimmy Valiant. They were the Valiant brothers in the mid-'70s in WWF, and they were probably the hottest heel tag team they ever had, because usually like the heel tag teams would be like third from the top at the Garden in the big cities. Occasionally some of the good teams might get singles championship matches, but the Valiant brothers like would headline and sold out the Garden on several occasions, you know, with Bruno and various partners. And yeah, they were, I mean, I don't think there was ever a, you know, I mean, not including modern era, but in that like 70s and 80s era, I don't think there was ever a tag team that sold out the Garden like the Valiant brothers did. And then they went to some other territories. I think the Valiant brothers actually would have started as a team in Indiana for the Bruiser. I'd have to look it up, but I seem to remember the Valiant brothers beat the Bruiser and Bruno, because the Bruiser and Bruno would have won the tag team titles from Mulligan and Lanza. And this was like when Indianapolis, Detroit, when they were in the Bruiser territory. And then the Valiant brothers came in, and the Valiant brothers won the championship. You know, beating Bruiser and Bruno was like unheard of, you know, like two guys that would never lose. And then they came into the New York territory, WWF, and did real well. And they were in California for about a month, and they worked together in a bunch of different territories. And then Jimmy Valiant became a real big star in Tennessee. And then they came back in the late 70s, and Jimmy got, oh God, what was the disease? He got, he got sick. I forgot what he had. And I should remember hepatitis.
Hepatitis, yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy got hepatitis, and then they brought in John Hill as gentleman Jerry Valiant. So Johnny and Jerry Valiant were a team for a while, and they were the second run of the Valiants in WWF wasn't nearly as strong as the first run. Although I believe they did win the tag team titles, but it wasn't anything like the first run. And then they split up, and then Johnny became a manager, and Johnny Valiant was Hulk Hogan's manager in the AWA when Hulk Hogan first came in, because Hulk Hogan was a heel in the WWF, and then Hulk Hogan came to the AWA, and he was going to be this heel to feud with, I'm not even sure who he would have, whoever the baby faces were then. God, Greg Gagne, because Bockwink was the champion. I think there were other, whoever was still around, but God, I can't imagine him as a heel. So anyway, Hogan comes up with Jimmy Valiant. Jimmy Valiant does interviews for a couple weeks, says Hulk Hogan's coming. Hogan comes in with Johnny Valiant, Johnny Valiant. And the crowd goes freaking crazy for Hulk Hogan. They see this 6'5" blonde bodybuilder looking dude with, and everything like that. And the crowd just loved him from day one. And, they did an angle where Crusher Blackwell, I believe it was, could have been somebody else, destroyed Johnny Valiant, and he was gone. But then Johnny Valiant came to, Vince hired him to be a manager of, wasn't Valentine and Beefcake with Johnny Valiant? Johnny V? They called him at that time. So he had a run for several years there, and then, worked indies and whatever, tried to be a stand-up comic. Didn't do well there in that profession. And he was the Valiant brothers. They were good talkers. Johnny talked pretty well, but it was like he talked really well for a '70s guy. But like I remember when he was like a manager in the mid '80s, I just thought it was kind of dated. It was like he was, and he's just like one of those guys doing the last era stuff, the previous era stuff. So I don't think he really clicked so well as a manager like in the late '80s. So but what a weird story.
Let's do SmackDown at 205 Live before we wrap up. Any thoughts on those two shows?
The SmackDown show, Daniel Bryan did a really good interview, and Sami Zayn and Kevin
What's with
Owens.
Shane losing his train of thought all the time? Am I the only one concerned about this?
He's been doing that forever.
I know. That's concerning to me.
Yeah, he's been doing that forever.
Okay.
Well, but maybe it is concerning. I don't know.
How many concussions this guy had in his career?
I don't know the answer to that. But
it's
look, he's wrestling with a frickin' needing hernia surgery, which I don't get. And
my point is, here's my whole point. Like, Daniel Bryan's cleared.
yeah.
And I keep hearing people go, oh my God, I'm so worried watching Daniel Bryan wrestle.
But when Daniel
I'm
Bryan,
so afraid that something's going to happen.
But when Daniel Bryan talks, I hear a normal
But that's
guy.
my point. Like, of the two guys in this match, I'm less worried about Daniel Bryan. I'm more worried about Shane McMahon.
Oh, I am too. I'm much more worried about Shane McMahon.
I'm not comfortable seeing that guy in the ring.
At all? I'm not comfortable right now seeing him in the ring. I don't know if maybe later I'd be comfortable, but this soon after getting out of the hospital and throwing in the age and throwing in also the fact that unlike Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who can go out there and have a great match, Shane McMahon's idea of what to do to entertain the people is to do something like insane. And, that's probably in the state he's in right now, given his age and everything like that, is probably not the best idea. But if they tone him down, it's like, what can he do?
Not a lot.
He can potato people like crazy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about Shane McMahon as far as this match goes. But they had Charlotte and Natalya, where they, Charlotte got her win back that we talked about, which of course means that first thing makes absolutely no sense.
Yes.
Because they're not doing a program with the two of them now after. So it's like normal WWE booking that. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, it's like, what, why? And then They keep teasing the Carmella thing. I think a lot of people are expecting Carmella to do a cash-in after the Charlotte-Asuka match. And they had a tag match with Charlotte and Bobby Roode losing to Miz and Asuka in the Mixed Match Challenge. Oh, my God. You didn't see that, did you? Okay, you thought Miz was a babyface on Monday. You should have seen him. How can this guy... Okay, not only is he fighting for his newly born daughter who's like a week old, okay, and just telling you about it over and over again. You know, it's like you can't miss it. But they start the thing showing videos. Their charity is Rescue Dogs.
Yes.
Okay, so it's Miz and Asuka with these dogs telling people to adopt these dogs. They're licking their faces and they're petting them and all this. And it's like, how am I supposed to dislike this guy who just gave birth? He can't stop talking about his daughter. And these dogs love him. You know, and he loves these dogs and he's telling people to adopt dogs. And I'm supposed to dislike this guy? It's like, I mean, God. It was just, so he worked as the heel in the match. You know, the only heel, because Asuka certainly wasn't a heel.
Bobby Roode and Charlotte aren't heels.
Bobby Roode and Charlotte sure aren't heels. Yeah, he pinned Bobby Roode. I think Asuka may have distracted or something. So Asuka retained her winning streak, and they won the whole thing. So there's that. And AJ and Nakamura wrestled Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable. And that match...
I like that match. I thought Nakamura and Chad Gable were awesome.
Well, Chad Gable's awesome. He's very underutilized.
Yep.
I thought that Nakamura and Benjamin were not as good as I expected them to be, but Nakamura had one of his better matches. AJ was fine. What was the match? Okay, so that's the Buddy Murphy match. Okay, that I was thinking of the spot that was later. So yeah. But I liked the thing where AJ goes for the forearm and then pulls back at the end. I thought that was a real good touch compared to what happened the week before. And AJ saying that his emotion is his strength, not his weakness. And Nakamura, like the last 2 weeks, I think, like with the promos and everything, I think that he's been pretty effective. You know, so then on 205 Live we had. Among other things, we had a tag match with Atami and Tozawa against Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado, which ended up in a no contest. They're gonna do like so. Hideo was a heel. He chop blocked. I think it was Lince Dorado after the match, and
well, he's way better as a heel. So
yeah, he is better as a heel. You know, and then the main event was Buddy Murphy against Kalisto. And they had a hell of a match. And not only that, they have a hell of a match, but because there's good matches on 205 Live every single week. But the crowd, it was really fascinating watching the crowd because it starts off where they're having like this great match. And the crowd, it's like you can hear that there's people going, you know, first they're chanting 205 and they're chanting, this is awesome. But it's like 20 people. Yeah. And the building's emptied out anyway. And so it's kind of like, it's like, you know, the people in the front row are really into it because it's a really good match. Then there's this spot where Buddy Murphy monkey flips Kalisto on the floor and flies onto the table. And then all of a sudden it's like the whole building, what the hell was that? And then they're doing dives and they're doing big moves. And by the end, it's like the whole crowd is doing, this is awesome and everything, which it had the most heat. But like, it went about 15 minutes. I'd say in the first 12, it really didn't have hardly any heat, but it was still more than most. But in the last 3, it had like real heat. It was like, I mean, you know, it was easily the best match on the show. You know, Buddy Murphy, I mean, he was always a good worker. He just didn't get a chance, and now he's getting a chance, and he's really making the most of it. You know, he's a guy like, it's funny because he's got the great physique, and he can work, so he's kind of like their guy. You know, that's what they like. So, but he's on 205 Live, which is like got that low ceiling. You know, I mean, how big of a star are you going to get on 205 Live?
Not very big when they rarely show the guys on Raw. Although they have started up again.
Only one week.
It was 1 week, yeah, but it was.
Week.
Yeah.
But they haven't shown Buddy Murphy once.
Nope, not one time.
Yeah,
not one
and
time.
I mean, I'm surprised. Well, I mean, a lot of it too is because it's Mania season and all that. I think maybe starting like in a couple weeks, maybe they'll get those guys back on Raw, and then Buddy Murphy will probably be it looks to me like it's going to be Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy is like the big program if Cedric wins, because that's I don't know. That's my sense of everything anyway.
All right, everybody. And that we're going to wrap it up here for today. Dave and I are going to do, what do we say, 5 shows in 4 days? Is that what we came up with? 6 shows in 5 days?
We're doing shows. We're doing a show tomorrow morning, and then we're going to do a show every night until Monday night, and then
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 shows, 4 days, everybody. And tonight. So get ready.
So tonight we'll be covering 3 shows that we're going, or 3 shows.
We attempt to cover 3 shows we're going to.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll remember the matches for 3 shows. So WrestleCon had their super show tonight, and I heard it was awesome. And Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi wrestled Chuck Taylor and the Flat Earth guy, Flip Gordon.
Is that going to be his new gimmick?
That's what you told me.
Oh, now it's my fault.
Well, I heard it before you told me. I had already heard that. People were... He's talented as hell.
He's very talented.
God, that guy
very talented. Very friendly guy. Nice guy.
I've never met him.
Yeah.
But once he like, he's only been in the business, a couple of years, right?
3 years.
Yes, that's like... Once he's like, gets like more experience, that guy's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah. So if you want to hear the Flip Gordon interview, it was up a couple days ago on Observer Live. And we're going to wrap it up. We'll see some of you in the morning for the live Q&A, and that will be going up as a podcast, and we're doing video of the live Q&A. You'll be able to check that as well if you're a subscriber to video.f4wonline.com. And
that means I have to dress up again?
I'm not dressing up.
Okay.
We got to wear our merch. We got a shirt for you. Don't worry.
I don't even have any merch.
Oh, yeah, you do.
I know I have it. I know.
Little do you know.
Yeah, I know that there is merch, but I never see it. The only merch I have is freaking LIJ merch.
Well, we got something for you tomorrow. Don't worry.
All right.
So, yeah, check that out, everybody. And that is it. We will talk to you again after a while.
And Bone Soldier merch.